Hello and welcome back to the Instant Fame. Let's talk about a phenomenon, a walking paradox who continues to captivate the world's attention decades after his last rebound. The story of Dennis Rodman is not a simple ledger of earnings and expenditures. It is a complex, often contradictory tale of immense talent, calculated chaos, and a search for identity that continues to this day. Recently, a very specific kind of curiosity has been swirling around him, fueled by viral videos and social media posts with titles that promise a stark revelation. This is the amount Dennis Rodman in his bank account. See photos. These clickbait headlines tap into a universal fascination with the aftermath of fame, particularly for a figure who lived so publicly and so extravagantly. But to understand the truth of his financial standing, or any modern development concerning him, we must first understand that Rodman has always been a master of transforming perception into currency. His entire career, especially his life after basketball, has been a lesson in leveraging notoriety, making the question of his bank balance far more nuanced than a simple number on a screen. The narrative of Dennis Rodman is a classic American saga, one that begins in obscurity and rockets to a stratosphere of fame few ever experience. From a shy, late-blooming rookie to the defensive powerhouse of the Detroit Pistons' Bad Boys era, his initial earnings were substantial for any athlete, but not yet the astronomical figures we associate with modern sports superstars. It was in Chicago, alongside Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen, that his star power and his paycheck exploded. Yet, even then, his salary was often secondary to the endorsements and the global recognition that came with being the colorful centerpiece of the world's most famous sports team. He was earning millions, but he was also building a brand, the rebooting king, the unpredictable artist, the man who could dye his hair a different color and make it international news. This period was the foundation of his wealth, but it was also the beginning of his life as a performance artist, where every action, every appearance, was a form of capital. The post-basketball years are where the public's fascination with Rodman's finances truly ignites. The headlines from the late 2000s and early 2010s often painted a picture of a man fallen from grace, citing tax debts and stories of financial mismanagement. It was a familiar, almost expected narrative, the flamboyant star who spent it all. This perception is precisely what makes those modern viral videos so compelling. They prey on that established narrative, suggesting a final, dramatic conclusion to the story. However, what these videos often miss is Rodman's chameleonic ability to adapt and monetize his unique position in the world. He never retired from being Dennis Rodman. He pivoted. He became a diplomat, a statesman of sorts, through his highly publicized trips to North Korea. However bizarre they seemed, these ventures were not mere eccentricities. They were global media events that reinforced his brand as an international figure, operating on a level far beyond the basketball court. They kept him relevant, and relevance in the modern attention economy is a form of liquidity. This brings us to the present day, up to late 2025, where Google Trends data reveals a fascinating pattern. The searches for Dennis Rodman are no longer just about his playing career or even his diplomatic forays. They are intensely personally financial. Spikes in queries like Dennis Rodman net worth, is Dennis Rodman broke, and the blunt Dennis Rodman bank account correlate directly with the release of those provocative YouTube videos and TikTok clips. The algorithm, it seems, has developed a taste for Rodman's financial mystery. This trend tells us more about us than it does about him. It reflects a cultural obsession with the rise and fall narrative, a desire to see the mighty humbled or, conversely, to see a redemption story. The videos themselves, with their grainy photos and speculative voiceovers, are rarely based on concrete financial documents. Instead, they are digital folklore, piecing together old interviews, outdated legal filings, and photographs of Rodman today to construct a story that feels both shocking and inevitable. So, what is the reality? The truth is, quantifying the exact amount in Dennis Rodman's bank account is an impossible task for anyone outside his inner circle, and frankly, it misses the point of his entire economic model. Based on reputable financial reports and analyses available through 2025, his situation is not one of simple poverty or immense wealth. He has faced significant financial obligations, including a much-publicized settlement with his former spouse and resolving long-standing tax liens. These were not small sums, and they undoubtedly required a substantial portion of his assets. However, to assume this drained him completely is to misunderstand the nature of his continued enterprise. Rodman's income streams have evolved. He commands significant fees for personal appearances, speaking engagements, and autograph signings. His likeness is still valuable in the world of trading cards and memorabilia. He has engaged in brand partnerships, being selective to avoid the oversaturation that devalues a brand, which is why you don't see his name on every product. This careful management of his public persona allows him to generate wealth without the traditional structure of a day job.
The man you might see in photos today, the one the viral videos dissect, is not a man living in destitution. He is often pictured enjoying his life, whether on a beach or at a high-profile event. These images are used as proof in arguments for both his wealth and his foolish spending. The reality is likely more balanced. He lives a life that is different from his NBA heyday, but it is a life funded by the enduring power of his legend. His bank account is likely as fluid as his personality, sometimes flush after a major deal or a series of appearances, sometimes leaner in quieter periods. The idea of a static net worth is a fiction we apply to public figures for our own understanding, but for someone like Rodman, his worth is his story, and that story continues to be written. He has transformed himself from an athlete into a perpetual talking point, a subject of analysis and curiosity. In an age where attention is the most valuable commodity, Dennis Rodman remains a master of the craft, ensuring that his name, and by extension his ability to earn, never truly fades from the public consciousness. So, the next time you see one of those videos promising a shocking look into a depleted bank account, remember that you are not looking at a balance sheet. You are looking at the latest chapter in the life of a man who has always understood that his true value was never just in a paycheck, but in his ability to make the world stop and watch, again and again. His financial story is not a tragedy nor a simple tale of riches. It is an ongoing case study in how a person can become a brand, and how that brand, with all its chaos and color, can endure long after the final buzzer has sounded. The legend of the worm is far from over, and his most valuable asset has always been, and remains, our undivided attention.